Beyond Places was a project that I felt really connected to because it sort of took a time in my life and created a large-scale installation. What I wanted to do was sort of remember those places that I used to inhabit as a child, but that no longer physically exist. So when I was a kid, I used to live in Mexico, and we lived in an adobe house. And I wanted to take a piece of that house because it was knocked down about 5 years ago and recreate it for an installation piece. So what I did is I created floor plans of the same house and asked 5 different people in my family to give me their floor plans of what they remembered the piece was like. So what I did with the floor plans is when I sort of, did them on the computer, graphed them out, send them to the people so it actually looks like a proper floor plan, the blue. And every single floor plan was different because everybody's memory of the house was different. My mom lived there longer, therefore hers was more finished and more built up. And because I lived there when I was a little kid, it was just actually an adobe house. It was raw, nothing, no indoor plumbing, nothing. And what I wanted to do was to take a section of this place from my memory and recreate it into an installation piece. And because my memory and everybody else's memories were different, and time itself deteriorates those memories, I wanted to create another piece of the house, and I created it in ice. So when the ice started to melt during the exhibition, it started to eat at the foundation of the other wall, and at the end of the exhibition, they both collapsed. So it talked a little bit about the idea of memory, the idea of places that no longer exist, and all of those and tied them together. I actually select materials in the design process. When I'm actually drawing it out, I think I want to make, for example, I want to make a head, but I want this head to relate the fact that I'm really stressed about something. And how am I going to relate that in this head? So like for the silicone piece, which is called Breakdown, it was specifically about me feeling stressed and too much happening and sort of trying to juggle 5 shows at the same time. So I made the head, I sliced up the head, so even the actual slicing was in a terms for me sort of dynamic in terms of the feeling of anxiety and sort of, so I sliced it, and then at that point I thought, okay, well this is like flesh, this is skin. So then I decided that I was going to make it out of silicone, so then that translates to, silicone being symbolic of skin. That was called white heat, and that's where sort of the symbolism for the material started to really come out, because I started thinking, I'm going to make an installation piece that has to do with the unity of 2 into 1, because my brother got married. So I said, I want to make a whole installation piece about that, like 2 individuals sort of uniting and becoming one solid whole. So I came up with the shape, there's 2 undulating lines and point and join at the top. And I started thinking, I want to make this represent the human form, but in a different way. So what I did is I slip cast porcelain and left it raw because it looks like bone. And I put that inside of latex and sewed it shut. So sort of putting bone inside of skin and having that represent the 2 individuals in this new unification. Well, definitely, I found that a lot when I was talking to the students right now, is that a lot of them were really worried or really afraid of the material for some reason, depending on what they were trying to do. So every time I met with them, the first question I would ask is, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to tell me? What are you saying? And half the time they didn't really know. They were just like, well, I think I'm trying to talk about my life or my relationship with my mother or anything like that. But when they showed me the work, I didn't see that. So I said to them, what you really need to do is you really need to put some sort of personal aspect into that. And I think after that, they started realizing, you know what, there's nothing on this table that says anything about me whatsoever. So I think it takes a little while for them to sort of realize that the concept is of primary importance, because if it's not important to them, it's not going to be important to anybody else. So I think it's important in terms of what you use to make your objects, and to get those ideas across. But more so, I think they definitely need to think of their concepts material second, and how they're going to display it or how the audience is going to interact with the work third. So I think these are probably the three most important aspects in terms of trying to get your work out there and your work seen, and so people can actually remember that. Whenever I start a new series, actually, it has to do with if something happens in my life, like an experience, or I do something, or something happens, like a car crash, or something, anything that sort of creates an experience that I'm going to remember, that has some sort of, vital importance. And I always start by just doing really fast sketches, and I tend to sketch quite a lot, no matter where I am. I could be on the airplane, the train, wherever. I just sort of sketch and sketch. And after the sketches are done, then sort of things start playing in, like the concept starts coming in. And I start thinking, like, how am I going to do it? How am I going to develop this work? Am I going to sort of create a sculpture? Am I going to create an installation? And how am I going to get this idea or experience that happened? How am I going to get that? And how am I going to translate that into this large installation piece or into this sculpture? And when a person sees it, what is the first thing they're going to see? Is it going to be the surface? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to hear the sound first? So all those elements sort of come into play, because what I'm trying to do is just translate that sensation that I had into something else. I mean, honestly, it's just about communicating with each other, but in a different way to tell a story.